Hi, I'm Terry Luck, Director of Communications here at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church in Glenview. Today we're going to talk about two very important programs at OLPH, and we're speaking with Angela Romero and Zoe Sundstrom. These are so important to our church, and both of you have brand new roles. Now, Angela, you came here from Reno less than a year ago, and you started as an assistant, then interim director, now director. So a lot of change, but it must be kind of an exciting time for you.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting time. It's been a lot of changes, like you mentioned, but I think in a really positive way, and continuing to move forward with the program. I think that is something that we can look at as a positive coming out of COVID, is that we had the opportunity to kind of lean into things that we do in new ways. So this is a really exciting time for, I think, our parish as a whole, and specifically for religious education and youth ministry both.
Yeah, and why do you think it's so important, these two programs for OLPH?
I think that without both religious education and youth ministry, that's investing in our children and in the future of our parish. There's a saying that I'm sure lots of us have heard before, that if your church isn't crying, it's dying. And I think that's so true. If there's not young people in the pews now, there's not going to be older people in the pews in the future. Pope Francis has been quoted saying that young people are not the future of our church, but rather they are our church. And I think that is so true. And it's important for us to remember that young people are not just the future, but they are also the now of our church. They are in our pews, they are in our community, and it's important that we minister to them.
And then Zoe, you were a volunteer, and I know you love youth ministry, and now tell us about that.
New position, I suppose, in terms of vocabulary. I've been given an official title of the youth ministry coordinator, and it really just defines what I've done for this last year, and we've done a lot this last year, so to give a role like what I've been doing a title is exciting.
And Angela, tell me about RE. I mean, I'm sure over the summer, I know you have camp starting, and you would think maybe that things are slowing down, but you're probably so involved with all the planning for the fall. Tell me about some of the programs you have coming up for
Yeah,
RE.
I keep waiting for the summer to slow down.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. We're just, like you said, gearing up for this summer. So we've had Totus Tuus, our camp for our young church. For the day program, it's younger kids, 1st through 6th grade. And then in the evenings, we welcome our older kids in 7th through 12th grades. So it really is a way to serve our young people as a whole. And then just preparing for the coming year. So recruiting catechists and getting people involved and to invest in our young people in that way. And bringing on new volunteers with the program in the family catechesis program as hall monitors, aides, substitutes. We're always looking for people, and the adults that we bring in, really kind of focusing on forming them this summer and allowing them to be confident in their roles and to be able to minister well to our young people.
Well, talk a little bit about family catechesis. Is that a new program?
So it's something that they've done in some ways here in the past, but we're approaching it in a new way this year. Again, one of the more positive things that I think came out of COVID in some ways for some of our families was a lot of families taught their students at home or opted to teach their students at home over the past couple of years. And we're really able to lean into that whole family formation and that family catechesis, learning and praying and living their faith together in ways that they might not have before. So really leaning into that coming out. And really just advocating for our families to be able to practice their faith together every day with the support of our parish, which I think is really vital to our community.
Yeah. With COVID, a lot of kids weren't in school, they weren't in class. But I was so encouraged to see how many young people signed up to be altar servers. Do you see that as kind of indicative that kids really want faith to be an important part of their lives?
Absolutely. I think for all of us, young people and us as adults, a lot of people came out of COVID looking for community and ways to engage with their community. And I think the wonderful response that we've had as we've restarted that altar serving ministry is just a really good example of that, of kids wanting to participate, to be involved members of the community, like I spoke about before, wanting to be the church of now and showing us that in this very real example.
That's a great way to put it. And Zoe, last year we actually did a fireside chat with you, right? And we talked about youth ministry that was really restarting at that time. How did we do during the last year? Did we make any progress?
So I said this earlier, thank you for giving me the opportunity to look back on the year. Sometimes when you're in the thick of something, you're just putting the next foot in front of the other, not really realizing what you're doing and what you've done. And Father Boland said in that interview Fireside from last year that we really have amazing teens in this parish. That was a statement that he made, and I knew it then, but it's only been magnified in this last year. I look back, and I do have a piece of paper here that I will spare everybody every word of, but I want to touch on a couple things. One of our teen leaders, we have roughly 10 teen leaders. We meet once a month, as we said we would, which was surprising. And one of our teen leaders came up with a logo for us, and many of the parish has seen it. Our boat logo on our light blue T-shirts, our boat logo on everything that's light blue. But part of the boat logo is we talk a lot about rowing the two oars. We row an oar of worship and an oar of service. Worship being loving God, service being loving our neighbor. And we talk about it a lot. We actually have two oars that the kids enjoy playing with, but it symbolizes what kind of the foundation of youth ministry, really of our faith, but of where our program is headed. And that's serving God and serving our neighbor. And everything we did this year, we said we'd do one event a month, roughly, one activity or event a month. We exceeded that by so much. I couldn't believe when I wrote down everything that we did this year. And everything fell into one of those two categories, either serving God and loving God or serving neighbor. And I'm actually really excited for our next leader meeting to show these guys what they did this year. The other exciting thing that I don't think I mentioned in that fireside was one of my goals was to get the teens, kind of like Angela said, they are the church of now, and to get them involved with the many, many other ministries we have on campus and here at OLPH. And I think as I counted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we touched with 7 other ministries this year and worked collaboratively with 7 other ministries. So that was a goal that I will never say is met, because we'll just keep doing it more and more and more.
And it sounds like leadership development is really important in youth ministry. How have you seen that happen in the last year?
The leaders that we started with pretty much are still here. We've had a couple drop off, and that happens. And we're certainly open to more leadership. Anybody who, 8th through 12th grade who's interested in stepping up and being a leader, joining our leadership, we'd love to have them.
Is there a coordination between the two programs then, religious ed and youth ministry?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of things that religious ed and youth ministry have done together this year. And that has included like our Living Stations of the Cross that we did in Lent on Good Friday, the Christmas pageant, Spirit of Christmas, a lot of the service events that religious ed has done. Birthday bash, yeah, a lot of the service things we've really come together with. And we also have a number of teens who serve in the religious ed program as volunteers and kind of are participants in youth ministry and serve in religious ed, which I think is really wonderful and really important, because for all of my volunteers, my hope is that they are getting served as well and not just serving others, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So I think that is a really wonderful kind of crossover and opportunity for our young people to both serve others and to be served in ministry as well, to connect with Christ themselves. Yeah. So I think that's a really beautiful.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And what are some of the programs that you have planned for the upcoming year for both RE and youth ministry?
So I'm really excited as we kind of launch into this next year for both religious ed and youth ministry. And Zoe's laughing at me because I have lots of big ideas, and I'm excited for how. We both do. Yes, we both do. Excited for how this year is going to go. For youth ministry specifically, one thing I'm really excited about is continuing our youth groups. So we met monthly, once a month with our young people, which has been, I think, so vital. And I know Zoe spoke to the wonderful students that we have and the young people, and obviously, I think all young people are wonderful. That's why I do the work I do. But I didn't know these kids very well coming in, and getting to know them through these monthly youth groups has been wonderful. And the way that they buy in and show up and participate and engage. And I'm really excited to continue that in the fall as well with our youth ministry. And then for religious ed, one thing that I'm really looking forward to is really building on that family catechesis program and building community in the program as a whole. So like I talked about, I think one thing that a lot of us are longing for is community. And I think that's part of what church is. We just recently celebrated Pentecost, and we hear, Christ sending out his disciples to go and preach the word, to spread it in communities, to go into the communities and to share that. And I think continuing to foster community in both of these programs is really what we're called to do.
You talked earlier a little bit about adult and parental involvement. Maybe you could expand on it a little bit. How would parents get involved, and what roles would they have?
Absolutely. So obviously we know that parents are the first teachers of the faith to their children, and that they are so vital in the faith formation of their children. And so being a part of the religious education experience is vital for parents and students together. So whether our families are signing up for that weekly in-person model or our family catechesis model, there is parent involvement either way. One of our catechists last year shared that the best gift that she has ever given to her child has been being a catechist. And she wasn't a catechist for him from first grade through 8th grade. She was simply a catechist in the program. So she shared her faith with other students.
Yeah.
So they would come every week together. He would go to class, she would go to class. And he was able to see her faith being modeled. And it's so much easier to buy into something when you know
That's true.
that your parent is buying in, or your friends and other people in your life are finding this important as well. And so continuing those relationships and allowing our families to show and model their faith to their young people, I think is so important. So we're hoping to do a lot more with the family catechesis program, encouraging those family faith activities and really diving into that model of how you can walk alongside your young people in faith. And then with our weekly in-person classes as well, really giving resources to families that they are able to continue their faith at home, right? Faith doesn't just happen 2 hours a week. It's not just Mass and RE. It's so much more than that. So really trying to provide some resources to our families to encourage them to mix those faith conversations into their daily lives. And
Now, is there like a training program involved, or how would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is the opportunity for parents to volunteer with the program, which is so important. We're always looking for catechists, which sounds like a big, scary word, I think. But it's not. It's just sharing your love of Christ and your faith with others. And that can look like so many different things. You don't have to be an expert. We have priests for that. we're not recruiting for priests. That's not my job. We're just asking people to share their faith with others. And we do have training. I walk alongside the catechists throughout the year. We also have some experienced catechists who are comfortable kind of acting as mentors and walking through them. This year, for I believe the first time in a while, we're going to have a catechist training day before the year begins, kind of half retreat and serving our catechists, and then half kind of in service and preparation for the year. So again, kind of reminding ourselves that you can't pour from an empty cup. So inviting you to take some time with Christ before this year begins, and then to really dive into some of the best practices and ways that we can serve our young people. And then not only as a catechist, but also you could act as a substitute teacher, as a classroom aide. We have some really wonderful, like I mentioned, teens who serve with the program. Yeah. And we like to have adults in those classrooms as well. So that can be a classroom aide where you're kind of just monitoring and helping pass out crayons and making copies and different things like that. You can partner with another catechist as well if you're not so sure. We have some really wonderful experienced catechists. I keep looking at Zoe because she's also a catechist for me. Who you can partner with to kind of learn for this first year and walk alongside and see what that's like for you. And then looking for hall monitors, people to help with different office work, prepare our students in different ways, pop-up events, those service events that we've talked about. There are really a number of ways to get involved, and I think it is such a beautiful example to our young people when their parents invest as well.
And everything is in person this year, right?
Everything is in person this year, so we are not offering a digital religious education program at all. We are offering our family catechesis model, and in that model, the families meet in person together once a month, and it's whole family. So that is open to students to register from kindergarten through 5th grade. Our 6th, 7th, and 8th grades are focusing on the sacrament, so we do ask that they come to weekly in-person classes. However, if your family is in the family catechesis model and you have older students, they're welcome to join us as well, and there will be ways for them to engage and to dig in and to kind of act as leaders for that program as well.
Now, you've been in these roles, so maybe you could talk about how rewarding it's been for you.
Being a catechist
Yes.
is, so when I was asked by Father Patrick, but through Father Patrick, I suppose, by God, to take on this role with youth ministry, many, many people who love me very much said, maybe you should stop being a catechist and really focus on youth ministry. Maybe you should. And I said, oh, no, I don't ever want to stop being a catechist because, as Angela said, you can't pour from an empty glass. It's being a catechist and those kids that fill me. I couldn't imagine. And my own kids who have all been catechists, can't imagine their mom not being a catechist.
Yeah.
My kids were all catechists.
Okay.
And to watch them deepen their faith and say, Mom, I don't remember learning this. Great. Teaching, it's the best way to deepen your own faith.
That's a great point.
And if you don't remember what the Beatitudes are, you relearn them.
Yeah.
You relearn them, and you relearn them then again every year if you stay with the same grade. But there's a theme through the grades. It really is the joy on my Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
I don't dread waking up. I can't wait to get here to be with those kids. I want to talk about the parents too a little bit, though, because at those younger ages, it's a little bit easier to say to your kids, come on, kids, we're going to Mass, or come on, kids, we're going to religious ed. When they get into high school, when they get a little bit older, they're still looking at us. They're still looking at their parents as their models. They don't realize they are, and we're like, oh, our teens, they don't care. They do care, and they're watching everything we do. So going to Mass, being a catechist, volunteering in whatever capacity, bringing your kids along, and if they don't come along, keep inviting. Just keep saying, come on to Mass with me. Okay, maybe next week. We're going to talk about daily Mass in a little bit, but over the summer, go to Mass during the week. Maybe Sundays are busy for your family, but your kids are watching at all ages.
Yeah. Well, on that note, how would you encourage families to get involved? So much of what you said already has been so encouraging, but as last messages, what would you say to families to get involved in both RE and youth ministry?
Sign up and show up is a really easy thing to say. Yeah. We are starting, I alluded to it, we are starting Friday the 24th, daily Mass and donuts. So either Angela or I or both of us will be here Friday mornings at 8:30 for daily Mass, and we will host donuts at this time down in our youth room, which we are currently revamping, I guess, taking some old stuff out, bringing in some new stuff, making it a place for the youth to call their own, which we've been working on, but we're working on it a lot this summer. So join us for daily Mass, join us for donuts. We will have other events. We're working on dates. We'll have a couple other events this summer, and the dunk tank will be back. So I got the official word yesterday. The dunk tank will be back, and just come and join us. There's something for everybody. As I looked over the list again, there is something for absolutely everybody in youth ministry.
Okay. And Angela, we'll give you the last word.
So I think, as I said before, I'm not going to repeat myself too much, but Pope Francis said it so well when he said that young people are not the future of our church. They are the now of our church. And I think it's important for us to remember that and to buy in, to bring them, to show up, and to model our faith for our young people, to walk alongside them and remember your own faith and how important it is in your life. I think it's the best gift that we can give to our young people, and it's more important now than ever.
And just to close, why don't you give everyone some contact information? How would they get in touch with you?
Absolutely.
I'm going to leave that up to Angela.
So for youth ministry, the best way to get our updates and things like that is to text OLPHYM to 84576. So just in your phone, you text the number 84576, and the message should say OLPHYM. We also have email, phone, and all of that is on the website and on the youth ministry Instagram at OLPHYM Glenview. And for myself, I'm always here in the religious ed office. There's a bell that you can ring and come and bother me, or you can email me at aromero@olphglenview.org.